Give her a round of applause. She's going to tell you a lot of cool stuff. Please. All right.
Hey guys, I'm Courtney. Nice to meet you. Just so I'm familiar with the audience, who here doesn't understand English? Oh, brilliant. Okay, cool. Well, I'm Courtney Boyd-Myers, and I'm here to talk about why community matters. Just flew in from Berlin today. It's my first time in Madrid, so I'm really happy to be here. And thank you so much to South Summit for asking me to speak. Okay, so here's just a little bit about me. I'm now a curator at Summit Series for a job. I curate people, I build communities. It's something I've been doing throughout most of my career. My life prior to Summit, which I'll get into in a little bit, was basically I ran an agency where I helped US startups enter the UK market. Prior to that, I launched a school in London called General Assembly, which some of you might have heard of. They offer coding education, skills for the 21st century. Prior to that, I was a journalist at a publication called The Next Web, which covered a lot of the European and US startup scene. So why community matters? So I'm like obsessed with etymology and breaking down words. I took Latin for 12 years and speak a lot of languages horribly. So com is from Latin, obviously, like with or together. Munis, the changes or exchanges that link us. And tatus is small and intimate and local. So I just wanted to kind of use that as a framework for how we're going to talk about community today. We're not going to talk about community in terms of building an audience, because an audience to me feels very one-directional. That's kind of what's going on right now, right? A community is all sorts of directional, right? It's about building connections, sharing values, sharing beliefs with people. And like, how many of you would say that you're part of a community, one community, 2 communities, 3, 4? How about over 10? Anyone feel like they're over 10 communities? Right. I mean, it's pretty easy to do that today. So, first of all, we have online communities. So these are communities that I think are really changing the world that we live in. I hope that you guys have heard of most of these. If you haven't, just raise your hand because you should know about them. But obviously, SoundCloud for music, Instagram for photography, Kickstarter for creative projects, Etsy for DIY projects, Airbnb and couchsurfing are transforming the way that we travel, the way that we live. At the end of the day, though, these are all communities of people. You have profiles, you have people that rate you, you have connections that you've made, friends that you've made through these platforms. A couple communities that I've started, and I'll call them one-click communities because they've just been super easy. But I started this little Instagram blog a few years ago called Hustle and Kale. I no longer run it. I made a decision January 1st to stop doing things that didn't make me money anymore. But it was a really great way to kind of really dive into whatever was the health and wellness scene on Instagram. So all those people blogging smoothie bowls and milkshakes and, with like ganja fruit in it, that was Hustle and Kale. 3460 Miles was a community I ran that was all about New York and London. And then recently I started just 2 Facebook groups, which over 3 months have grown from 0 to 5,000 people each. Sloan's List is an incredible job board. So I was getting like annoyingly pinged every day from people that were like, I would love you to help us find a job in this, or Helly, can you help me hire a CMO of my company? And I was like, you guys all just need to connect. A lot of the times it's not about what I know, it's about the people I know and making it easier for those people to connect. So Sloan's List is a job board that I created. Yes, nomads. So who here lives out of their suitcase a lot, or between 2 cities, or doesn't really live in one? Yeah, it's definitely a sign of, I think, our generation and our culture. It's really changing. We can work from anywhere now. So yes, nomads. I realized that people wanted to stay in Airbnbs or on people's couches of friends that they knew or friends of friends. And that idea of friends is super powerful because it's given us sort of like a social proof. I don't need to know you, but if my friend knows you and loves you, I will happily welcome you into my home. So that's the idea behind Yes Nomads, is that you can go on and say, hey, I'm going to LA or I'm going to Madrid for a week, and someone will say, hey, you can definitely come and live with me, or if you want to rent out your room for a couple extra bucks, but you don't want to have a stranger on Airbnb do it. That's what Yes Nomads is. And I'm really happy to have you guys into both of these groups, all you need to do is just ping me on Twitter. I'm at CBM on everything, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. But let's talk about communities from, did I skip a slide? Yeah, I did. Sorry, to back up real quick. These are what, to me, feel like the biggest benefits of why you would be a part of a community. So there's freedom. That's freedom to share and explore ideas. There's security. So one time, a guy that I dated said to me, you know, why you're a survivor? It's because you cast a wide net. Just like fishermen cast a wide net, and that brings in the most fish to feed their families, you can cast a wide social net. And that way, whenever you need a job or you need, you know, a place to stay, you have a greater chance of figuring that out when you have a wider community. Collaboration. Obviously, there's this great quote, at least in English, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. When we collaborate together, when we form partnerships, these are the things that boost both our careers and our personal growth. And last is accountability. You see this a lot with apps, right? So health apps, people can check in on you and make sure that you're working out, or you know, people can know what you're eating for lunch because you're Instagramming it, and they know that you maybe slipped off your diet if you're Instagramming a Big Mac. The community really is a great way to hold each other accountable when we say, I'm going to start this company. If you say that to yourself, no one can hold you accountable but you. But if you say it on Facebook, I'm starting this company, you have a little bit more of a drive to do it, right? And we'll get more into this, but I really want everyone to just be familiar with this idea of social capital. So in this whole idea of community, the currency that flows through it is social capital. And it's not about money, it's about bartering of services and skills and favors. And this is what will make someone rich within their community. Someone who, you know, it's a lot easier for them to maybe find a job or find a place to stay because they have built up social capital. They've done things for other people. They're a part of that many more communities. So keep this in mind as we kind of roll through today. Right, so again, we talked a lot about health. I think that health, but I'm going to group it with personal growth, is one of the most important aspects of being a part of the communities that I've listed here, and there are many, many more. Alcoholics Anonymous, I don't know if you guys have this in Spain, but it's definitely a community in the US. It's not one I've ever been a part of or ever will, but it's all about, you know, helping people really get over alcoholism. And this 12-step program is now taking the form for, you know, people that are trying to get over drugs or people that are trying to get over sex addiction. But it's these communities that can really help transform people's lives. And then we have fun ones like Soul Cycle, CrossFit, Daybreaker, Movember. Who here knows about Movember? It's when everyone grows a mustache in November, right? And they raise millions of dollars for research in prostate cancer. And then there's Tough Mudder, Spartan Race, there's Landmark Farm, there's Burning Man, Camp Grounded. These are all amazing communities to be a part of where people seek them out for personal growth, spiritual growth, becoming a better person. I think this is the most classic way that normally people think about communities when, again, you're not thinking about it in terms of the audience to your startup, but the communities that you're a part of. This is why people pay $200,000 to go to Harvard Business School. It is not for the classes they go to. It is for the people that they meet. It's for the community that they're part of. I don't have it up here, but Virgin Galactic, you know, going up on that rocket, no one gives a shit about going on the rocket as much as they do about going on dinners and trips with all the other people who paid to go on that rocket. It's about community. So a couple that are really important. TED's obviously built an incredible community over the years. Davos, Young Presidents Organization. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think to be a part of that, you have to be making about 10 million in revenue with your company. So imagine being a part of that community and how that could propel your career and your business forward. Founders Forums, another excellent one, mostly based in Europe that people love. I think it's actually going on right now around this. Soho House, Sandbox. So Sandbox is a European-based community that I love. My best friend, I'll call her out, Emily Brooks, she totally bailed on me about coming to Madrid, and I was like, shit, I don't really know anyone at this conference. And I hit up Sandbox, and I'm getting dinner tonight with like 10 amazing people I haven't met yet who are part of that community. Forbes 30 Under 30 is a great, network to be a part. Forbes 30 Under 30 is a great network to be a part of. People are really listed there for what they've started, but I know people that have had companies that have failed and started new companies that they've met through people at that conference. And Second Home is another great one. I will send out all my slides via Twitter, like right after this talk, so you don't need to take copious notes. You can just get it. Again, it's at CBM. Okay, so what would love to talk about today is the company that I work for and the community that I've built that means the most to me, and that's called Summit. No relation to South Summit, but Summit is a community that over the last 8 years has been gathering people from all over the world, basically on cruise ships. We've taken over mountain towns. And it's been really cool. I was an attendee for 8 years. I joined 2 years ago to help make the community more European, to help bring in more women, and to represent this sort of tech startup ecosystem within the community. Summit's got this crazy story behind it. It was 4 guys that basically put it together because they lacked a peer group. And they invited people like Tony Hsieh from Zappos and Blake Mykowski, who started Tom's Shoes, and they said, hey, we've got this ski trip you're invited on. And they literally threw the whole thing on someone's parents' credit card, just hoping this would pay off. And it did. And now Summit has hosted about 10,000 people from around the world at 20 different events. Our biggest event is Summit at Sea, which is happening a month from tomorrow, which I'll get into in a second. Which takes place in Miami. And then the last thing you need to know about Summit that's pretty incredible is 4 years ago, Summit said, I kind of want a more permanent home for our community, I want somewhere we can gather people year-round, where the ethos of the community can live year-round. And so they raised $50 million from the community, crowdfunded it, and bought a mountain. And that's actually where I live, in the middle of Utah with a bunch of Mormons. But actually, it's just our little crew of hippies that live on this mountain, and then we're out in the world meeting amazing people and inviting them back. So that's Summit. Summit's been described as part TED, part Davos, part Burning Man. I like to describe it as a business conference meets a festival. Summit at Sea this year is going to be pretty incredible. So we've got some amazing speakers, and we really look to bring people from all different industries in. So, it's not just tech, but it's music, and it's art, and it's wellness, and it's people who are starting movements like Black Lives Matter. We've got an insane lineup this year for our food festival, too, which I've been helping with. I'm really excited about. I'm going to show you a quick video from our event last year. I hope that you can hear it because it's pretty loud in here. And if you can't hear it, that's kind of a bummer because this is a poem. I wish I could rap just like this guy over it for you, but I can't. If we can't watch the video, we should just skip it. Yeah? Okay. But this gives you a little bit idea, at least, of what our events look like. We've got the whole conference style, but then there's also the late night dance parties. We bring on artists to transform the ship into what is exactly like a walking art gallery. It's the kind of place where you can do yoga at 1 in the morning to some deep house yoga, and then you can get up at 7 a.m. and go to a talk on where art and artificial intelligence are merging. For us, this is sort of the celebration of the journey that we are all on, whether you are an innovator within a larger company, whether you started your own company. We all know that will really help you to kind of figure out your purpose in life while also bringing you to your highest highs and your lowest lows. And we believe that by bringing people together who are on that journey, really magical things can happen. Basically, this year on the boat, which is our big event in November, after you get off the boat, it'll be the first time in our 8-year history that we're actually giving people an app so that they can connect, so that they can look up who else is coming or who else has been to this event before. So if anyone going to Summit at Sea this November says, all right, well, I'm in Madrid, they'll look at the app and they'll see who else from Summit is around them in Madrid at that time. So this is just, it could be a total fail. I don't think it will be, but this is our first way of giving people digital tools to connect outside of our events. I don't know what's going on. Oh, here we go. Okay, so what I'm kind of I'm going to conclude and then we'll have tons of time for questions. The idea that I want to leave you with is that, a really long time ago, we didn't live in houses and apartments. We lived in villages where if I have 2 kids, it's not just up to me and my husband to take care of them, it's up to all of us to take care of them. There are crazy things you can learn about how monkeys have sex and how we used to have sex where they didn't even know who the dad was in the village. And that was actually to ensure that all the dads in the village took care of that kid. Now, I'm not saying we should go back to those times, but I am saying that we should definitely think more about living as a community, what that means, taking care of each other, helping each other through personal and professional growth. And I really think that's about finding your tribe. And I just want to read you this quote, which obviously is from the Hopi Nation, and I think that, in the US, we have a very rich history of, the Native Americans, and they really nailed this whole find your tribe thing. So there is a river flowing now very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid. They will try to hold on to the shore. They will feel they are torn apart and will suffer greatly. But know the river has its destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore, push off into the middle of the river, keep our eyes open and our heads above the water. And I say, see, who is in there with you, and celebrate. At this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of which ourselves. For the moment that we do, our spiritual growth and our journey comes to a halt. The time for the lone wolf is over. Gather yourselves, banish the word, struggle from your attitude and your vocabulary. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration. We are the ones we've been waiting for. And that's it. So thank you so much.
Good. Thank you, Courtney. You have still 5 minutes. Is there any question you'd like to ask Courtney about SAS? I think it's such a cool initiative. Someone wants to join? Yeah, is there a question? Maybe we get a microphone for her? Yeah, just a second. Yeah, cheers.
Can you hear me? Sorry. I'm Viga from Aleph VC in Israel. I wanted to ask how you started this journey of building communities. Were you passionate about it? Is it something that triggered that? If you can share a bit about that.
Yeah. I don't know if, I don't like to talk too much about myself in presentations because it's kind of boring, but the joke was when I was a little kid that a stranger was just a friend I haven't met yet. And so I've literally, as a 5-year-old, was walking up and down the plane saying, hi, I'm Courtney, so nice to meet you. Where are you going? Not really understanding the fact that we're all going somewhere together. But my point is that, I've been like this since I was just, a really little kid. And I'd move to a new town, and I'd search on AOL who else lived in that town, and I'd reach out to them, and I'd ask my mom if I could host 20 people over for dinner. And this was when I was 8. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And then in high school, I was obviously throwing huge parties with older boys and getting into big trouble. And then I kind of mellowed out and turned it into a career after college. So.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Courtney. Yep.
I just wanted to know, what other insights do you have? Why are people interested in participating in these sorts of communities? Cultural, human.
Yeah.
What other needs do you think they have? What are they looking for?
So I think one of the most interesting things about our generation is that there are, I don't know the exact stats, but with my parents go to church every Sunday. I don't have any friends that really go to church anymore. And it's not to say that they aren't religious in the sense that they don't believe that there's some higher power out there. Some of them don't, but a lot of them do. And my point is that I think as we've noticed a loss in attending church every Sunday in our generation, there's still that need for connection and community. So a lot of the times you might be getting that from a Sunday morning yoga class or a Sunday afternoon basketball game with the same people, but it's about that kind of tradition and that connection, and I think it has a lot to do with that, the loss of kind of the more traditional focus on religion for us.
Someone else? Yep. We have some time for the video. If you want to play it again with the music, with the sound.
Don't worry, you guys can get it.
Okay, go on with the question.
Hi. My question is about the charities world. Do you think that the world of charities have extracted all the power of communities?
Charity?
Of charities, yeah, NGOs.
And sorry, what was the question?
Do you think that they have extracted all the power that technological tools give today building communities?
So wait, one more time.
Do you think that the charities world have got all the power that they could with the technological tools that we have today to build charitable communities?
Yeah. So how has maybe like community affected modern day charities, or how has technology affected modern day charities? What to me is so interesting about like giving is that today I am much more apt to give 10 euros to like some family in India or a Kickstarter or someone I don't even know than I am to walk next door to my neighbor and make her soup. So I think that there's like negatives and positives to how like digital technologies and communities have impacted charitable giving. I think we're obviously like able to raise at like a huge scale, but in the same way, it's almost made us like a little bit separated from what's going on in our own backyard. But yeah, I mean, in terms of charities and whatnot, I think it's never been easier to start one. I think it's just as hard to run one. And I always get shocked when I look at like a nonprofit or a charity and it doesn't have a big giant donate button on its homepage. Like that to me would be like the only thing I'd build. That and like a picture of like a child, you know, like in whatever focus I wanted it. So I think, yeah, charities have a long way to come. But they're, yeah, I mean, that's obviously an amazing opportunity for them to be able to scale. You see companies like Charity Water, and they're like nailing it with online communities. Does that answer your question? Kind of.
Sorry?
Does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Good. Thank you, Courtney. Someone else would like to add something? Yeah.
Whoa, there's a microphone. It's pretty loud. How satisfied do you think we can be with online communities?
You look really familiar, by the way.
Yeah, I'm going to see you at dinner tonight.
Oh, good. Okay, cool.
I'm in that sandbox.
How satisfied can we be with online communities? I mean, I think you need the pair. I think an online community is just a way to stay in touch with people until you see them in real life. Like I think that, like, I love my mom. She's in these online communities for, like, gardening on Facebook, and if she needs to know how to grow figs, she's got a guy in Morocco that she chats to, and so, like, in terms of transfer of knowledge, online communities are incredible, but in terms of, like, actually filling that need to connect with others, like, there's just nothing like the dinner table, right? And the dinner table is really, like, the greatest piece of technology that, like, connective technology that's ever been created. So yeah, I don't think that online communities are ever going to replace. I think they can certainly augment, though.
Okay, good. Someone else? Yeah. I love Q&A. Here you go.
Alan Ethington, Miami. In response to the charity question, who raised that question? I'd like to respond a little bit different way. I'm also from the United States, so maybe I'm interested in a better English form. So if you're going to have this summit at sea, you're going to spend millions upon millions riding a cruise boat, hiring music artists, people paying a lot of money to come to this event to schmooze with other rich people. How much of this is going to charity? How much of this is actually being put into a sustainable system? Because it just seems like rich people spending money to schmooze with other rich people, and then at the end of the day, they just get richer and the poor get poorer.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, the cruise ship thing's like awful. We're actually never going back on a cruise ship again. But it is also like an amazing venue. It comes with like 1,000 staff. Everyone has their own rooms. You've got everyone on a boat. They can't leave. But to answer your question, so Summit has a nonprofit called the Summit Community Institute, and for every pillar of content that we've created on the boat, so let's take corn and soy as in a food ecosystem, we've paired every content track with a nonprofit that we're raising funds for on the boat. So corn and soy is raising funds for Greenwave, which is a company that I advise, which is pioneering ocean farming. Last week, we just did a 30-person trip to Kenya. I think the ticket prices were like $8,000 a person, so very much rich people schmoozing with rich people. But we raised $3 million for conservation to stop like poaching of elephants. So yeah, I mean, look, it takes sometimes guys in white suits rubbing elbows for things to happen, but we're very conscious of the fact that everything needs to be done to create more joy in our world and fix the problems that we can solve or try to.
Good. Someone else? No? Let me just ask you one more thing. Are we not in this technological and digital era looking for like-minded people more than ever in the internet, and then just transpolate that to the outside?
Yeah, I think I don't think it's that we're now looking for them more than ever. I think we always have, but it's now easier to find them more than ever because we all have like identities where we're like, I like rock, I like punk rock, and you can, just search for that. It's pretty incredible. I mean, we didn't even get into online dating, which is obviously one of the craziest online communities in terms of how it's affecting our world, and being able to search for exactly what you want or think you want is really applicable there.
Good. Thank you, Courtney. Round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.